For a while now, I've been looking for a topic to do another video on. I couldn't find anything online that I wanted to talk about, and as fate would have it, I have low hanging fruit in my lap. Low hanging fruit fell in my lap. I didn't really want to get too touchy on religion. I don't even have an audience to divide yet. But something happened at work recently that reminded me of something that happened at a previous job that I couldn't help but bring to you today. First, let me say this since it needs to be said. I'm not a believer of God or an afterlife. However, I do my best to not judge those who do because it's your life, and your beliefs don't really affect my day-to-day ongoings. It's a cold, scary world, and we all just want answers and comfort. I understand that. For some of us, if we realized there was nothing to look forward to after this life and that it was all pointless, we either wreak havoc or off ourselves. And I'll touch more on that here soon. And I'm definitely not trying to break you of your religion or your beliefs. If I'm able to do that, how strong was your faith really? And I'm going to do my best to avoid the same old tired cliches that everyone else uses when discussing God or religion. Again, this isn't personal, just something that crossed my mind after an incident at work that I wanted to do a video on. My problem isn't even necessarily with your God or your religion. Like most things I complain about, it's the people behind it. That's right, you. Before I tell you my most recent story, I need to tell you about the previous incident so you know I have a track record of being a dick. I was working at a small store recently and, surprise, surprise, one of my coworkers was extremely religious. Now, normally, that wouldn't bother me, but he was one of the types that was so full of Jesus' love he couldn't carry it all and would try to put a little bit of it in your hands. The type that would even have the Pope telling him, "Leave it in church, pal." Now, I won't take anything away from this guy. He was a good dude. Over 40 years old, he worked circles around a lot of us younger guys, and he truly loved his job and everyone he worked with. They in turn loved him because he was a brown noser and a good little worker bee. He was a good hard worker, just a ray of sunshine to be around. Yeah, that's what I meant. I still keep in contact with him, and I'm glad he doesn't know I have a YouTube channel because here's where I'm an ass. I don't mind a happy, cheery, go lucky attitude when it's natural. I don't even mind when people are doing good things or why they're doing good things. I just wish people were cheery and did good things without it being because they think they're being watched by God, you know? I'd like it if someone fed the homeless because it was a good thing to do, rather than doing it to increase their odds of getting into heaven. Yes, the homeless man was fed, but it'd mean more, especially to him, if it truly came naturally from your heart and you didn't need a reason that would benefit you in the end. Unfortunately, that's kind of how he is. He'll give you the shirt off his back, but only because he feels God may be watching him. And that's part of why I have trust issues with a lot of religious people. I've seen so many of them acting like Kyle in that episode of South Park where he wanted to be a Christian because he was afraid of going to hell. His father summed it up perfectly by saying, believing in something simply because you're afraid of the consequences if you don't believe in that something isn't truly believing in it at all. Anyway, one day this coworker of mine was preaching to someone else at work and said there was a time he was living on ramen and prayers, and I could not help myself. I still feel bad about it to this day, but I feel open to dialogue. One he didn't want, sure, but I said, wait, you were praying and still only had ramen to eat? The fuck's up with that? Everyone fell silent, and if looks could kill. He did what you'd expect, get a little tense and tell me not to mock his God or his beliefs. So rather than that, I saw it as a moment to engage him in a debate he, again, didn't want to be a part of. I wasn't trying to change him, nor am I trying to change anyone listening, but I had serious questions that I wanted answers to. He couldn't answer them, but maybe you can. I started off by asking him why he was so devoted and why he believed so much. As you'd expect, he told me there was a time where he was in a very bad spot in his life. He opened his heart up to the Lord and he was saved. I asked him, okay, but why you? Why were you so special? There's people out there that have been and still are in worse spots than you for a lot longer, and no matter how much they pray and beg, God is nowhere in sight. Why were you saved and they're still struggling far worse than you could possibly imagine? Why is God, the all knowing and all powerful, omnipresent creator of all, so absent and selective when it comes to people he saves when he's supposed to love all of us? Feeling backed into a corner, he, again, as you'd expect, said, you truly have to believe in him and accept him in your heart and fall on your knees and give yourself over to him. And I had to stop him right there. I said, you know who else makes your life a living hell until you're on your knees begging for mercy? A bully. Your God sounds like a bully to me. After that, he didn't really talk to me much for a couple days, but we're good now, I think. Anyway, on to the most recent event. I have a stressful job at a distribution center, and like most people, when I get mad, I have a tendency to say, God damn it. Unfortunately, some over religious woman overheard me and reported me to our even more religious boss lady. When pulled into the office and explained what I did wrong, it took everything in me to not say, I'm sorry. I'm so goddamn sorry. It won't happen again. But this is where I'm even more of an ass than last time. Because, yes, we were warned during orientation for this job about offensive imagery and language, but I thought you could only offend real things. Not that I ever do, but I haven't said anything homophobic or racist. I wear plain clothes, I'm nice to everyone, so I'm confused as to why I'm getting a stern talking to like I physically hurt someone over a phrase that only has as much power as you allow it to have. So here's what I wanted to say, but did not, because I need money. Alright, boss lady, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna create an imaginary friend. For the sake of argument, let's say his name is Vince. I think Vince is a cool name. Sounds tough without sounding too pretentious. And since Jesus, nor God, wrote one verse in the book that's about them, I'm going to write a Bible for Vince and tell everyone he told me what to write so you'll know it's true. And if you question it, there's consequences. I'm going to start wearing Praise Vince shirts. Shouldn't offend you, because your Jesus apparel doesn't bother me. And I'm randomly gonna say, Vince bless you and Vince be with you. Then, whenever you accomplish something you work very hard for, I'm going to diminish it by telling you you need to thank Vince because without him it wouldn't be possible. All glory goes to Vince. That's right. When you do something awesome or something good happens to you, I'm going to tell you to thank my imaginary friend, and when you don't, I'm going to get angry and tell you he's your God too, and that he created everything and that you need to worship him or you're going to hell. Then I'm going to tell you you have no aim, direction, or purpose in life if you don't serve Vince. I'll make you feel outcasted and shunned for not believing what I do. Hopefully, Vincianity will catch on, and the lines between church and state will be more blurred than they are now, and laws will be enacted in the name of Vince. And then, if I hear you say, Vince, damn it, I'm going to report you to the boss for offending me. But instead, all I said was, I thought you could only offend people over stuff that was real. I was promptly told to shut up, get out of the office, watch my language, and get back to work, which I did like a good Christian boy. I guess I just don't get a lot of this stuff. I once heard someone say, nothing happens with the Lord's permission, so I guess it's good we know who's responsible and who to blame for all the bad things happening in the world. But then they usually respond with, it's really the devil's fault, he's the ultimate evil, and people just blame God. To that I'd answer, if God's so powerful, why doesn't he stop him? But I'd rather get you to look at this from a different perspective. Is the devil the ultimate evil, really? Think about it. Where do all the bad people in the world, like child diddlers, rapists, and murderers, go? Hell, right? And that's to be tortured for all eternity for their sins, right? Good people aren't going down there to be tortured. The devil isn't giving more people for rapists to rape when they get down there. He's punishing them. That sounds like a goddamn hero to me. I also once heard someone say, you know what they say, when God closes a door, he opens a window. Who is the they? It's people. God didn't say that. You definitely won't find anything in the Bible about it, which, again, is full of things people say God said because we know God didn't write the Bible in his own words with his own hands. It's just something people said God told them to write about him, and we're just supposed to trust it on blind faith. Huh. Kind of reminds me of Vincianity. But boy, if I was God and people are putting words in my mouth and making shit up about me and misinterpreting what I told my followers to tell my other creations because I was too busy to tell them myself, I guess I'd put the world in the same state it's in right now as well. I mean, that phrase doesn't even make sense. Gee, thanks, God. I was going to walk through the door, since that's what it's there for. Would have been more practical and convenient, but I guess I'll go through the window instead. Please tell me it's more than 3 stories high, because I plan to jump. So by now, you're probably wondering what the point of this video even was. There wasn't one. That's right. You just listened to a guy bitch about God out of boredom because he needed content and had nothing else to talk about. Where's your God now?